Hi everyone, Catherine here from Ink Finger Cat, back with another Make It Masculine card. Was touch and go because I totally forgot about this and then suddenly realised I needed to do this. So, Saturday afternoon I suddenly thought, oh, I do have to film a video. I've not done my Make It Masculine for the month. Yeah, so I decided on the theme of nautical. Yep, that was my theme, and I really wanted to use that lighthouse die. So I had this sort of idea mulling around in my head of using this watercolour stripe die, which is an Altenew die. I have used it before a couple of times, and I just thought I fancied using that in the background. Didn't really think much more about what I was going to do. I decided to mount it on craft because that immediately makes me go masculine. I think that's probably what happens. So then I didn't really know what these looked like and what bits went with what and all the rest of it. Probably would have been sensible to have gone and got a picture of one of these already done up, but I didn't. So instead I'm making it up as I go along, but I think it is really easy to figure out once you've cut all the pieces out. And you can see there, I'm mainly using scraps in order to do my die cutting. I had got that one piece of craft that was a full piece, and the rest of everything else that I make, it's sort of with scraps until it gets to the card base point. So I've die cut out my little lighthouse, and now I'm working out which pieces go where. So I'm just placing them on. I've used sort of like this dark wine red burgundy kind of colour. And then I've used the craft for some of the elements that are clearly part of the structure. But then I think, oh, I need to really colour in the lights so that they pop a little bit on the lighthouse. And then I realised that there's this little square that, it's a little rectangle that cuts out the middle bit where the light actually is. And then the other die cuts out the other pieces, but because I don't want them to be red, I'd originally cut it out of the red, I want them to be white, I've just die cut those bits too. So the little bit that's where the actual light is in the lighthouse, I have coloured it with the same pro marker as I used for colouring the little window spaces. And now I'm just going to use my liquid glue in order to attach all the pieces. Some of them are a bit fiddly, I will not lie, they are a little bit fiddly to put on, but it turns out great. I'm really happy. I do use my little wax pokey tool thing in order to pick up the pieces for some of them, but some of them, especially this tiny little piece here, I have to fiddle around with my fingers a little bit before I can get it into place. I could have just left this with the red pieces on. I'm going to call it red, even though it's obviously a very dark red. With the red pieces on and left the white pieces as they were. But the white pieces that I then add have got a bit of texture in them. So I think, well, it's in keeping with the rest of the lighthouse then. And it also means that the lights themselves through the windows are sort of more recessed. So I think it works better. So at this point, I'm a bit like, right, don't really know what to do. And now I've got stripes on stripes and I'm not quite sure. So I went and grabbed the Kingston Crafts Summer Paper. Now this is a paper, but it's very thick paper. So I think it works fine as a card blank. I've never had a particular issue with it. My view is that even if people keep your cards a while, they're not keeping them forever, because otherwise they'll have a house full of your cards. And it'll stand up on display for long enough that somebody can have their birthday, for example. So I think that this weight of the paper is fine. Plus, I'm adding a card topper on top of it, so that strengthens the front. And because it's a coloured and a patterned paper, I'll add a panel on the inside. So that helps strengthen it as well. So yeah, I know it's not perfect, and I would normally go for something bigger, but I decided something stronger, but I decided it was fine. And I have made plenty of cards using the Kingston Crafts paper, I'd say. In the past, I think it's fine. I did decide I wanted to stack my little lighthouse a little bit more, so I die cut another single one for the back. And now I am umming and ahhing about what to do. But I decide, right, let me sort out a sentiment first. So my sentiment, I've chosen a Waffleflower one. hope you have a wonderful birthday, I think it says. And I'm stamping with early espresso just to get a sort of like a dark brown ink onto that cream scrap of cardstock, and then I'm going to die cut it out. I love these stamp sets where they've got the dies that coordinate and sort of cut out around the shape rather than it being like a set shape, like a circle or a square or a label kind of thing. I love these ones where you can like literally have the cut go round the font. Right, at this point I thought, right, I need something else, and I decided to make a tag, and I used the Stampin' Up tag, I think it's Scallop Tag Punch. It's a retired one, so I don't know how long it's been there for. And I added, I did it with the orangey colour. It's like a peachy colour, and I thought it sort of reminded me of the sand. And then I added a bit of the craft, and now I'm just choosing what I want, and I decided on the wax thread for the top of the tag. And this is really going to take over, the wax thread is going to be part of the tag in terms of, part of the card front. So I stick the tag down, and then I use tiny little dots of glue, which will dry clear to just adhere that twine in sort of in place so it doesn't move around. It's still got some movement, but it dries fairly solid. And that's going to take up the left-hand side of the card space, coming off the tag. And then I've added my what's it called, lighthouse on the right hand side. Now I decided that I wanted to just stack up the sentiment die cut a little bit. First of all, I did the wrong die, which was a bit daft, and then I die cut it again twice from white in order to stack it up. Makes it a little bit sturdier because it was going to go over the top of both the lighthouse and the twine. And so I then added just these tiny little scraps to go underneath the left hand side, where it's just that little bit lower than when it's been up against the lighthouse. I hope that kind of makes sense. I just had to sort of like wiggle it round so that it wasn't over the twine. And then I decided I needed to put something on the inside of the card because obviously it's quite heavily patterned. The Kings and Crafts cardstock's great because the fact that it's got the same pattern on the inside, on both sides, it's just a larger pattern. And then I was umming and ahhing about this and decided I did want to add the beam coming from the lighthouse. I hadn't wanted to originally, but I felt like it needed it. So I used that same pro marker to do some stripes of the colour coming across. It does smooth out, but you can just about see that, if you look closely, that there's some lines to that colouring. And then I added 2 of the card candy that are like the spotty bronze ones just to the bottom and the top of the card, and decided that was it, done. So I hope you enjoyed that. A bit of a different one for Make It Masculine this month, but I think it works. I think this is a suitable masculine card with this lovely lighthouse, and I hope you enjoyed that. Please do like, subscribe to see future videos, and until next time, thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.